Hi, I'm Shannon from houseimprovements.com, and I just want to show you how to install a drop-in kitchen sink. So we've gone ahead and prepped a few things up, and what we're going to be installing is a stainless steel sink. So we've got a single bowl stainless steel, and we've got laminate countertops. I've already gone ahead and put some masking tape in the general area that we'll be cutting. And that's really just to protect the existing surface so we don't scratch anything. So what I did is you'll have a template. If you bought a new sink, it should come with a template. So we've gone ahead and punched that out. Now some people might use, like there was a piece in here, I took that out. Some people might use that as their template. I like to use this outer outline as the template. So what you want to do basically is use the template, lay it on here, centered in your sink cabinet area, so that you can get a rough idea where to put your tape. You want to have at least a good 3 inches of tape to run your jigsaw on. You're going to cut this sink out with a jigsaw. So mask your area all out. Mark a center line here. So this center line is actually center of the cabinet opening. So mark that here and here in 2 locations. You want to also measure your overhang of your cabinet, plus the thickness, if there's a cleat or anything right here on the front of the cabinet, plus usually about 1/2 inch, because you want to be able to get in so there's a lip of countertop on the inside for the clamps of the sink to attach to. So add that all up, get yourself a line across here. You've got your template all punched out. Sometimes the templates will come made for a couple different types of sinks, so just be sure you're matching up the model of sink you actually purchased with the lines for the model that you actually want off the template. So we've got our template here. When we cut out, we're going to be just cutting this basically kind of oval. It's not really oval, but the sink hole. We're not cutting these little jogs that are in it. Those are just for reference. This jog back here and here just shows you how far the actual width of the sink is, and that's what these are too. They're the outside lip. So if you look at the sink, those little notches just give you the actual reference points for the very extremities of the sink, but you're going to be cutting your hole, I don't know what it ends up being, 1/4 inch or so narrower than the full size of the sink. So you don't want to cut those, you just want the basic oval shape of the sink. Okay, so I've got my mark here. I'm lining it up with my reference to my template. I've got the center mark of the hole of the template marked right on the template as well. So I've got a center line here that I can mark up with the center line that I put on my masking tape. So I basically get that stuff all lined up. Just twist it here a little bit and get my template basically sitting where I want it to be. And then I usually just kind of step back and have a look and make sure that I haven't measured something wrong. It'll be obvious if I'm off by 1 inch or something. I should be able to see that just by looking at the cabinet. So by looking at that, I think I'm pretty good. Now the one thing that I will need to do is run another strip of tape right here so that when I trace this out, I've actually drawn right on the tape. So I'm just going to run another couple widths of tape around here so that I can actually see that line when I draw it on there. See if that gave me enough. Get things lined up again, like so. Yeah, we should be good there. My pencil. So I'm just holding the template down so it isn't moving around. You could tape it right to the counter if you wanted. And I'm just marking with a pencil these cut lines as we come around here. Get your lines marked all the way around. Fill in those kind of little gaps where those long cutouts are. Now you also, you'll need to determine what you're using for a faucet. In this case we're using a single hole faucet, so I really only need this middle hole cut out. You'll notice that my sink had 3 holes, but the faucet that I have has an extra plate that'll actually cover those all up. So it's not a big deal, but we only will need the 1 hole drilled out of the actual sink area. I actually need a little more tape in there too. Okay, so like that. So we've got that all traced out, and I think we're pretty good there. So we'll set the template to the side for now. So you can see might be able to see my lines here as they come around. Just darken them up so you can see them more than anything. So you can see that, and it just follows right around. Now I'm going to something else when you're doing this, you don't want too big of a sink. You don't want the sink hole to be as big as the actual cabinet space, because you need that little bit of a lip around the edges, because the sink comes with some clamps. I can get them all out of here. So the sink comes with these clamps that hooks around the perimeter, and your countertop would be in here, so then the clamp pinches up against the countertop. So you need this much room inside the cabinet yet to work those clamps. This one's going to be a little tight, but should still be workable. So again, just judge your sink size accordingly to your cabinet size a little bit. And I'm going to also just have a look around and make sure there's no water lines. I know in this case there isn't, because it's a new installation. There's nothing up there yet, but if you're replacing a sink or something. I guess if you are replacing a sink in an existing countertop, you need to make sure that the sink you're going to put in there is, you know, if anything, maybe a little bigger than the old one, so that you know that the hole shape is going to be right. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky finding one that fits the existing old hole. So I'm going to take it doesn't matter, as long as it's about a 3/8 size drill bit. In this case I've got 7/8. I'm going to pre-drill a hole to the inside of my cut lines. Like so. That's just so I can get my jigsaw blade in to get started. And I'm just going to remove some of these wood chips here so they don't get underneath the jigsaw and cause any scratching. I'm going to get my safety glasses, and we're going to use a we're going to use a blade in the jigsaw that actually cuts on the downstroke. Just trying to get some of this dust off here. So if you look at the blade, I'll put it down by this green tape. You can see the direction of the little teeth are pointing down. So when that blade is going up and down, it is actually cutting on that downward stroke. And the reason for that, most of the normal blades that you'll find are cutting up, so the blades are angled up. So when that blade is pulling up through the laminate is where it would want to be cutting, and it would actually chip the top edge quite a bit. Where if it's cutting down, it's kind of using the wood that's under the laminate right now as a backer, and it gives you a much cleaner cut. So use a downstroke blade if you can. You can get away with the other ones. You just need to cut really slow and careful, because you do have a little bit of coverage here on the sink lip outside of that line, but it's safer if you can use the downstroke blades. So I'm going to just simply go around and follow that line and cut it all the way out, and then we'll stop and just dry fit the sink and see. We may have to do some fine tuning here and there. So. So you can see I'm getting close to coming around to where I left off the first time. At this point, you want to either have somebody else give you a hand or reach under there by yourself and just kind of hold this piece up so that when you get your final cut done, it doesn't drop down and bind and fall in the bottom, maybe break some plumbing or anything. Obviously keeping my hand and fingers out of the way of the blade. And that's partially for me why I went and started over here and worked my way to that corner. It's just more comfortable for me to reach under with my right hand and hold that up than it is the other way. So. Okay, so we've got our piece there that came out. Now I'm just going to leave the tape there for right now because I might have to fine tune that hole a little bit. I'm just moving some of the dust out of the way. I'm just going to drop this in and see how it fits. Actually, we're probably going to be all right. So I'm just double checking that everything's sitting nice. I've got a little bit of wiggle room there to maneuver. I'm now looking at the hole I marked for my center hole where my faucet's going to be, and it looks all right, so I can also drill that out as well. Now you'll notice that we cut the hole for the sink. We didn't cut, way back here around all this stuff. We want this part of the counter that's under this area to still stay intact, so that's this space here. We just cut out where the tub area of the sink is going to drop through. So I'll just drill 1.5 inch hole for this faucet. Okay, so now I can remove all this tape. I'll just pull the tape off. I'm going to get the vacuum and just clean up some of this dust, and then we'll come back and start working on the sink.
Okay, now.
I thought of one other thing before I actually cleaned up here. You can see the water lines down here, and I just put some tape or whatever to cover them up so that they don't get full of dust and dirt. Because if you don't get that out of there, it's just going to go straight into your tap and clog your screens up and stuff. So just tape that up before you cut your sink out. Okay, so before I install the sink in the hole over there, I prefer to put the drain assembly all together. It's easier to work on here upside down as opposed to laying in the sink trying to reach it and everything. So most sinks come with all these bits and pieces, and your system might look a little bit different. This particular brand is this is what they have. So let's try to do it here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So there's a strainer basket that goes in there first. There's usually some kind of stamp or emblem on the inside, so I try to get it in an appropriate position so it looks right. I don't know if you noticed, this one comes with a gasket already on it, so you don't need any putty or anything on it. So this one's on there. Most of the sinks all come with instructions as well, so if you're not too sure. Here's your bottom, what do they call that? I just forget now. The bottom of the drain anyways, and it's got a little rubber gasket you can see in here as well. So I'm just going to get that all started onto that nut. Make sure that the gasket gets centered up in this cap, in this cup. So you can see inside here there's some little emblems. In this case there's actually 2 of them. So if I can, I don't have it too tight already. Just going to loosen that off. I like to try to get, I don't know, I guess it's just me, but I like to try to get these so they look right. In this case there's kind of 2, so I'm going to offset them or put one. I guess I'll offset them, I don't know. Whatever you think looks best. There's not usually 2 marks there, but So this particular one basically has a bolt that goes down through that, just through the end of the bottom of the basket of the strainer. And there's probably some special tool for it, but I just use my flat bar to tighten that up, and that bolt just threads into the plastic piece on the bottom that's right here. So get that nice and snugged up. So it's sitting centered in the hole. We got that all on there. Then there'll be some type of tail piece included. Sometimes they're copper. This one's just plastic. There was a little rubber gasket that goes in there. Thread that on there. Just snug that down. Everything looks pretty good. Now this sink also has a foam gasket around the bottom of the lip, so pull off the paper protection that it has. This sink also had plastic kind of wrap or whatever across the top face of it that we pulled off before the video, so it's just to protect it in shipping, I guess. So we're going to get rid of that. If your sink doesn't have this foam gasket, it might come with some like plumber's putty strips or mastic strips that you need to lay out on the countertop to seat the sink into it. And that's just to keep water that's on the counter from wiping and washing, or something gets spilled from going underneath the lip of the sink. Now we can also hang our sink clamps around the perimeter of the sink. You can see a lot of these sinks all use the same basic setup. It's usually some kind of a bracket on the sink, and then there's some type of a clamp that fits into it. It's usually not too much rocket science involved in figuring out which one goes where. I'm just trying to set them so that they're close to the right depth to start with, so I don't have to mess around too much underneath there. One more to go on here. And sometimes also, once you have all the clamps on, it's hard to get it down through the hole in the countertop, because they stick out that little bit and stuff. So we'll see when we get this one over there. We may have to take some off and put them on from below, but the more we can have on up top here, the better. So we'll take our sink. There's also a foam gasket that's going to sit underneath the tap area. So we've centered it on one of the holes, or on the hole already. See if we can get this to all drop in here. One that doesn't want to quite cooperate. There we go. So I'm just moving things around so our faucet hole lines up, and then I'll double check that we're even across the front. Pretty nice right there. I'm just going to have a step back and look to see that it looks like it's straight to the world. Should be good. Our hole's still good. So now I need to go down below, and with a screwdriver I can flip those little clamps that you see me put on. I can spin them around so that they clamp up underneath the countertop and start tightening them down. So I'm not sure, hopefully the camera can kind of get under there and have a bit of a look. At least you can see me do one of them. So you can see that one. So I'm just loosening it off so I can spin it over there. So the clamp should sit something like that. And then as I tighten it, those little teeth will just kind of grab onto the bottom of the counter. So I'm just holding onto the sink, kind of onto the drain to keep it from moving around. And I'll just kind of start that one. I'm just going to work my way around the sink. Sorry, it probably sounds like I'm talking in a barrel here. Okay, so I got that one. I'm just snugging them up until I can get them all to where they're snug and contacting the sink. So I'll just go around and finish all these and then get them all tightened up, and then we'll talk about anything else I haven't covered. Okay, so we've got it all tightened up down below. It'll also obviously come with a little plug dealie. Put that in there. And you can see as we're along here that we're basically just trying to get that lip down so it comes down at a nice even amount all the way around. That little gasket that I peeled off the strip from, that's just in right about here all the way around, so that's what's keeping any water from infiltrating underneath there. So I think we pretty much can wrap that up. So we just showed you how to install a stainless steel kitchen sink into a laminate countertop. So it's a top-mounted sink, or a drop-in sink, you might hear it referred to. We cut the hole, we talked about the blade. I think we covered everything that we had to cover. The only thing that would be left to do at this point would be to install the faucet and hook up the drains and everything and do a water check. So that will be a different video. So if you like this video, please click the little thumbs up icon that you see there. You can check out our YouTube channel as well. We've got lots of videos on there, much like this one, that can help you through some of the projects you might be dealing with. Also on our website at house-improvements.com, we've got some articles there on a bunch of different DIY type topics, and as well, that's where you'll find our forum. And if you have any comments on this video, or maybe some problems with a project you're working on, the forum is the place to go. Go there, post up your problems, maybe throw some pictures in if that helps the situation, and I'll be sure to get back to you. So anyways, this was Shannon from houseimprovements.com, and thanks for watching.